Thank you so much for coming tonight, Michael. I'm really looking forward to this panel, and obviously a lot of people are interested. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the aims and goals of BNY Mellon Innovation Centre.
The Innovation Center is a way for BNY Mellon to be able to leverage Silicon Valley expertise in software in particular, and also in data science and big data, and be able to apply that into the company's different initiatives. BNY Mellon, of course, as most banks do, has lots and lots of technology and lots and lots of investment in technology. The challenge for any enterprise is to be able to keep that current and so forth. And part of BNY Mellon's strategy is to be able to have an operating footprint in Silicon Valley, to be able to utilize Silicon Valley expertise. So the first mission is it's an engineering center and a delivery center, and it's also kind of an embassy in Silicon Valley as well, and it's also a customer engagement center. But the primary mission is software engineering, basically.
And I was wondering what your personal ideas, perception, vision is of where things are going as far as FinTech startups and the banks.
I think it's an interesting time with FinTechs and with banks. It's a great question because I think a few years ago, everyone was kind of like, oh, there's a battle between the banks and the upstart FinTechs, and the FinTechs are trying to knock the banks out. And I think that the FinTechs have realized that banks have lots of expertise, and they have existing customer relationships, and they have data and information, and it's very hard to get established without those. So I think the FinTechs are realizing that the banks have things that they need. And I think conversely, the banks are realizing that the FinTechs have lots of great ideas on new ways to do things and new approaches to things, and also innovative technology. Now, that technology oftentimes may need to be cured, baked in a little bit more and made enterprise ready and scaled and things like that. But that's what banks know how to do. And, the FinTechs are providing, in a lot of cases, some innovative ideas. So what I personally think is happening right now is this era of kind of complementary partnerships where a FinTech has needs that a bank, can satisfy, and vice versa, that the bank has needs that the FinTech can satisfy as well.
Yes, I think that's the wonderful thing about the FinTech community is that everyone basically is trying to work together.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that process. I enjoy supporting the startups and the investors, but also seeing bridging that gap between the corporates and the startups. And obviously it's just a win-win then. It's
a win-win. I think one thing that becomes really critical in that, it's the 21st century, and of course as entities think about partnering, they have to think about digital forms of doing that. And so what becomes really critical is how well prepared is the startup or is the enterprise for digital integration via APIs and so forth. And not in both cases, they're not already today in some ways. Now, everyone's kind of working on it, but not everyone really has what it takes to digitally integrate it. So it's an interesting time because of that as well.
Thank you so much for coming tonight, and I'm sure this panel is going to be so fascinating. Thank you.
Sure.